Warning: unlawful duplication of this video may cause riots, geological upheavals, climate change, and unnatural congress between species. Besides, you can easily purchase this video for download at relaxharder.com.
Warning. Please be advised that Tai Chi is a physical activity that requires the participants to be in good general physical health. We strongly advise all viewers to consult with a qualified healthcare professional prior to undertaking any physical activity, exercise, or martial arts program. Not all exercises and techniques are suitable for everyone, and this or any exercise or martial arts program may result in injury. The exercises, instructions, techniques, and advice presented in this program are designed for persons who are in good health and physically fit. The intent of this video production is to provide general information about Tai Chi techniques and methods. This video does not attempt to replace training with a qualified instructor.
Head suspended from above. Remember, we're back in Wuji again. Head up a little higher. That's it. Sink the shoulders, sink the chest, relax the back, relax the waist. Sink the chi to the dantian. Relax the hips, the knees, the ankles, and the feet. And hands rise as high as the shoulders. Hands lower, the body lowers. And the body continues to lower until the hands reach hip level. Palms down, sitting the wrists a little, like this. That's it. And elbows dropping. Continue to think of the elbows dropping even when the hands have reached the lowest point. Good. And straighten the legs and relax. Wuji. And again, when the hands rise, think of sinking the shoulders into your front pockets. Dropping your elbows down into your shoes. And let the hands float up, and the chi, the energy extends through the fingers. Then drop the elbows toward the knees. The hands lower, the body lowers. The hands drop, sitting the wrists as if you are pushing a piece of wood underwater. And then relax again, hands rise. And hands rise as high as the shoulders. Hands lower, and the body lowers. Good. Some important points here. Again, hands rise. When you raise the hands, think of the shoulders dropping down. Be careful you're not lifting the shoulders, but keep them down, as if you're trying to put your shoulder into your trouser pockets. And keep your elbows dropping. They should feel as though they have bowling balls hanging from your elbows. And don't turn your palms in. This will be a tendency sometimes when you're sinking the shoulders and dropping the elbows. There will be a tendency to turn the palms in. But keep them rolling and palm down. Keep going. And so head suspended from above. All of the principles that we talked about in Wuji posture still apply. So head up, sink the shoulders, sink the chest, relax the back, relax the waist, breathing with the dantian, relax the hips, the knees, the ankles, and the feet, and let the weight settle into your thighs. And we want to maintain some continuity when we do this form. So the hands float up, they continue to rise, When they reach shoulder level and start down, there should be no stopping in between. Going up, it becomes going down. Just as with the breathing, breathing in becomes breathing out. You don't want to find any period of time between inhaling and exhaling. Likewise, you don't want to find any stopping between the hands rising and the hands lowering. The motion is continuous. One flows into the other. And this is something that continues throughout the entire routine. Throughout the entire form, when you're practicing Tai Chi, nothing stops. Things may slightly change pace, and some parts of the body may seem to move a little more than other parts of the body, but the whole thing continues without any break or any stopping at all. As you drop the hands and the body lowers, your thighs, when you reach this position right here, right there, hold that. The hands are sitting a little, palms down. The elbows are dropping just a little bit bent. The wrists are a little bit bent. You get to here. This is the end of the posture. And the wrists should not be forcefully flexed, but relax and just let the fingers point down. You're sitting the wrist, especially this part of the hand, dropping this part of the palm down. The elbow continues to sink down. Even though you're as far down as you can go, still keep thinking about the elbow going down, and still keep thinking about the shoulder going down. If you stop sinking the elbows, then tension starts to build up, and you lose the internal structure that we need for this posture. And again, straighten the legs and repeat. The hands float up as high as the shoulders, and then going up becomes going down. The hands lower, the body lowers. Good. Now the thighs are working more than anything else in the body. There's still a little bit of sitting of the wrists at the bottom, and then it drops when you finish the posture and begin repeating it. Another important point is to think of is the 10th thoracic vertebrae. This is the base of the ribs. There's a tendency when you raise the hands to tilt the back backwards. You want to avoid this. Instead, think about opening up the small of the back even more, even while the hands are rising, so that the hands rise, the lower back opens, the kidney area expands backwards, the shoulders sink, the elbows drop, and the arms extend like so, so that when you reach this position right here, hold that, stop, and shoulders sinking, elbows dropping, imagine a bowling ball hanging from your elbows, extend the fingers, feel the chi going out through the fingers, so the hands are extended, fingers are extended, not drooping, extended but not flexed, not tense. So you feel that energy here. Now if there is any tension in the middle of the back or in the lower back, then the shoulders will go backwards. And if the shoulders go backwards, then you lose the connection to the ground, and the power breaks right there. Okay? So let this come forward, let this drop back, there, push back against my hand so the lower back opens up even more. It becomes convex, like this, there. And the fingers extend, shoulders down, elbows dropping, and now this, if I push this way, it goes in the arm, down the back, and into the feet. Right. So this energy going forward comes out of the ground and out that way. And then drop the elbows, the hands lower, and the body lowers. Shoulders down, elbows dropping, hands down, like so. Wrists sitting, but not tense. Good. Do that a few more times. Good. Now do that facing me. So head suspended from above. Sink the shoulders, drop the elbows, sink the chest, relax the back, relax the waist, relax the hips. Let the weight settle into your thighs so you can breathe with the dantian. There. And relax the kidney area, relax the lower back. And as the shoulders sink down, the elbows drop, the wrists sink, and the fingers extend. The kidneys drop backwards, opening up like that. So you have this round shape in the back from here down. And that means that this is going to be powerful, like that. There. So here we have that going into the ground. So here, like that. Then the elbows drop, the hands lower, the body lowers. We think of the elbows dropping, the shoulders sinking, and they take the hands down. Rather than thinking of being on top of the hands and pushing down on top of them, instead we pour the weight down into the ground through our feet. That's the shoulder gets pulled down, the elbow gets taken down, and the hands get dragged down with the energy that goes into the feet. So the hands lower, the body lowers. The hands lower because the body lowers. And again, from Wuji, extend, and the hands are projecting the dantian qi, the energy from the dantian. It's projected out through the fingers, out that way, like that. And then the hands lower, and the body lowers. When you hold, if you were to hold this posture for a few minutes, very quickly, if everything is relaxed from here to here, then you'll be able to see the shaking in the thighs. And if we just leave him just for a minute, his thighs will start to shake. He'll shake like a jackhammer. From here, everything is aligned vertically. If I were to put my hands here, his whole body weight would be on that. So don't let me lift you up. Open up the lower back, shoulders down, elbows dropping. There. That's it. So there. So a very powerful position. Now relax, straighten the legs. There is a natural response that we have to an attack. It's called the flinch response. And the flinch response is referred in a lot of martial arts and combat classes. And the flinch response is the idea that if I were to attack very suddenly, people with no training whatsoever would still usually be able to defend themselves. If I were to kick somebody in the groin, they would flinch. Now he flinches this way because of the way that he's trained, meaning he flinches towards me. Most people, if you were to do a sudden attack to me, I would flinch like this. Now it's very fast, within a fifth of a second. The moment you see something happening, the moment your brain goes, ah, your body goes, ah, those are with you. So as he punches like that, I will flinch. Even if I don't get my hands up there, as he punches, I will do this. And I will not be hit with full force because I have flinched, because my mind has moved a little bit. Right? So if he punches and I do this, it's a really good flinch response, and I can condition the flinch response very quickly if he punches to do that. And I can usually stop the first punch. The problem with this is that now I am so busy still flinching from that first thing that I don't see the next thing. All right, so flinching is great for the first fifth of a second. And that's usually all we need to defend ourselves against, the poles shooting up out of the ground. But with a concentrated attack, the first flinch response has to be able to engage the opponent and engage them with a structure and an awareness that will enable them to continue the interaction, shall we say, and not just get beaten up. So most people can block the first attack. Most people can block the first punch. It's the next one that's going to be the problem. And if somebody hits you 3 times, you're not likely going to be able to flinch in response to all 3 unless they all respond to your flinch. So if you flinch the bad way, and I do this, and I keep attacking, then that might work. But what this exercise does is it teaches you, first and foremost, after Wuji, after proper posture and alignment, to maintain that proper posture and alignment in the face of an attack. So as I attack, his flinch response is to raise his hands up towards me. So I attack, he flinches. And I've missed, he's in my face, and he's connected to the ground. So what happens is my attack creates a flinch response that causes me to flinch and changes the scenario entirely. So from here, I try to surprise him, and I end up surprising myself. We practice this very slowly, very relaxed, because there's no point practicing this quickly. If you practice this quickly, you'll develop tension, you'll reinforce habits, and you'll end up flinching like this, which you don't want. You want to flinch like this. You want to flinch in a way that, is just like going for a walk. Okay? And then, hands lower, the body lowers. If you attack, hands rise, nice and relaxed, hands lower, the body lowers. Punch with the other hand, here, hands rise, there, that's my flinch. So as he punches, boom, there I flinched. Hands rise, I'm engaging his center. From here, the hands lower. See how the shoulders go down first, then the elbows, and then the body weight. Hands rise, flinch. Now from here, drop the shoulders, sink the shoulders into the ground, the elbows follow, and the hands get dragged along, and that's hands lower. Keep your head up so you don't bang heads. From here, flinch response, there, that's part of it's taken care of, and I follow through, hands lower, body lowers. Hands rise, open up the lower back. Hands lower, body lowers. Hands rise, hands lower, body lowers. Good Tai Chi is very effective because of its structure, not because of its technique. Technique is a way of understanding structure and the method that makes the technique functional. You can learn all the technique you want, you still will not be able to use it in a fight. You have to be able to have a method for applying that technique. And even better than that, you want a structure that embodies that method all the time so that you don't have to have technique. If you develop really good structure, you don't need technique. It'll just sort of happen. So he throws a punch, and then he says, how did you do that? And I was like, how did I do what? As he punches from here, I don't know what's happening. But I keep relaxed. As I get better and I practice technique, what I'm actually doing is practicing maintaining that structure and manifesting that method in various situations. So the technique is really not about the technique itself. It's about your ability to engage energy on different levels. So as he punches, I engage there. And I have to be able to deal with the fact that he's rooted and connected. So as he throws the punch, he is now going into my center because that's what he's trained to do. Even though the punch has been redirected, he's coming back into my center already. So the initial punch slowly gets redirected over there by my interception of his intent and his frame of reference. So he punches, he gets redirected, I move, and he sticks to my center because that's what he's learned how to do during push hands classes and do forms practice. So I have to be able to stay relaxed and be able to make those changes. The average person will be able to change their mind, well, most people, once a second, maybe. If you've trained, you can change your mind about 3 times a second. After that, you can't really respond to changes. You can change your mind about 11 times a second. You can change what you're doing about 11 times a second if you have trained well. Being able to change appropriately in context, depending on what the other person is doing, that's a little tricky. The best will be maybe 3 to 5 seconds. So if he doesn't change, I can change 11 times a second if I'm really good. And so if he throws a punch, now just relax, don't engage. Yeah, do it the silly way. You throw a punch, now just stand there. Okay, if he's throwing a punch, he's still throwing a punch. His mind is focused on this. This is still the first 1/5 of a second. So he throws that punch the first time. And what I do is I intercept and I change. So I strike here. Then I change my mind. I strike here. No, that doesn't work. I strike here. I strike here. Maybe I'm going to lock. Maybe I'm going to elbow. Maybe I'm going to knee, throw. I should be able to change my mind about 11 times a second. That is not enough time to do those things, but it's enough time to change my mind. So as he throws the punch, I go, no, I'll go this way. Right? That's changing my mind. Right? If he, however, changes his mind, he throws the punch and then changes his mind, it's going to be difficult for me to change my mind 11 times a second if he's changing his 11 times a second. Fortunately, very few things will be that complex. But if you practice push hands, and you practice two-person drills, and you practice making changes in very small shape, very small ranges of motion. So, for instance, we engage here, and I change the shape a little, and he changes the shape, then I change the shape, then I change the shape, I change the shape, I change the shape, he changes, he changes, he changes, I change, he changes, he changes, I change. There. And we keep changing until we get tense, and then something happens, and then we go, okay, we were not aware of what was happening because there was impact. There was a fight going on. So what we do instead is we stay relaxed, feel the structure, feel what's going on with the shape, and allow the shape to change until one of us becomes tense. And that tension can be tension in the arm, it can be tension in the body, or it can be kinetic energy impacting with the body. So anytime there's any kind of feeling of transfer of kinetic energy, then we know that we've become too tense and we've at some point lost awareness of what's going on. Most people lose awareness of what's going on in a physical confrontation almost immediately. Somebody goes, ah, and the other person goes, what? And that's it. And this is why it's often said, oh, street fights always go to the ground. Well, any street fight that lasts more than 3 seconds usually will go to the ground. What happens is that people get attached to what they think is happening, and they don't allow themselves to change their minds. So if they don't change their minds, then they will lose. If I throw a punch and I think I'm punching him in the face, and he decides that's not what's happening, I have not changed my mind yet, but he has changed what's happening. So he is punching me in Da Bao, spleen 21. And this will result in me basically being stuck here, unable to move, while I try to reconnect my brain to my feet. And it'd be like getting cut in half. Meanwhile, my mind, my intent, I'm still trying to punch him in the face. I'm still trying to punch him in the face that was right there at the end of my fist when I started the punch. When I'm here, I throw the punch, I think I'm punching him in the face. I still think I'm punching him in the face, I still think it, and I still think it. But meanwhile, my rib cage is saying, hello, brain, I don't know how to tell you this, but that's not what's happening right now. So the brain has to say, what? What was that? Oh, it's changed. And then they take another look and you go, all right, his head's not there. But I'm not terribly concerned about that right now. So now the brain has to make all of these changes in strategy and technique. And of course, there is no time for that. Nobody got time for that. So as he throws a punch and I change direction, that's the engagement. So you'll see a lot of people that get really, really good, and they'll be sparring and they'll just be staring at each other for a good 20 minutes, sweating buckets. And what they're doing is reading each other's intent. They'll just be feeling where the shape is, where the intent is, feeling the shape of the connective tissue in my own body, feeling what's going on with his, and so on. This is the nature of martial arts. And this is why understanding this position, this posture, and this continuity is so important. By practicing movements that do not end, you are learning, it's a meditation where you're learning how to notice where the breath, inhaling and exhaling, join together. You're learning how to let go of those attachments to things that you think exist in space and time. And by letting go of those things, you're allowing yourself to flow with the situation. Okay? If I throw an attack, he doesn't know what I'm going to be doing, but he can relax and maintain that structure in the face of all that's going on. The techniques that we manifest out of this form are not techniques for their own sake. They are techniques that teach us about method of application. And the method of application is the way in which we practice structure and proper alignment. If we have structure and proper alignment, then we don't need technique. Everything's taken care of. But when somebody attacks us, what they are trying to do is upset that structure and that alignment. They're trying to take your center of gravity and move it off of your base of support. So the first thing we need to do is learn how to protect that relationship between the center of gravity and the base of support, between our body and our feet. So we say, try to keep your hips higher than your feet. If I can keep trying to push you, and you have a really good understanding of the relationship between your body and gravity, then you can maintain a healthy relationship between your body and gravity in spite of the fact that I'm trying to upset it. And I can try to upset it in any number of ways. We practice in Tai Chi upsetting it with pushing. And then later that translates into long range punches, kicks, throws, joint locks, and so on. But pushing is the way of understanding what's going on inside the body. If you practice the form, and you practice keeping that alignment with the center of the earth, then you'll find that there are a great many techniques that can manifest out of these movements. To attack with the right hand, because as we know, martial arts only work against a right lunge punch. I engage his center from my center. If I lose my center, there's no point in engaging his. So he punches, right? He'll go down like that. Maybe he is solid and connected. So I go down, and this doesn't work. So I try to pull him out of his center, like that. Hands rise, hands lower. That doesn't work. I'll turn, I'll step. Pang. Okay. That's the next movement. Wuji becomes Tai Chi. If he grabs my wrist, no self-defense class is complete without a go ahead, grab my wrist technique. My shoulders are not strong enough to lift his body weight, and it will not work. But if I sink my shoulders down and drop my elbows and open up my lower back and extend, then as he pushes my hands down, I extend my hands forward. Because he's pushing down and I'm going this way, we are not in opposition to each other. It's very easy. From here, I can neutralize this by moving at right angles to his pressure. I go straight up like this, and I go ha like that, and if he doesn't change fast enough, then I can counter. The problem happens, I go like this, and then he changes direction. He'll respond to that, and he'll be on my center. If I want to move at right angles to his pressure, I might as well do it in a way that actually has an effect on him. Don't fight the car, as Adam Chan says, go after the driver. He's squeezing in sideways on my neck, so 90 degrees to his pressure is actually towards him. I engage. He grabs, I engage. I open up my lower back. Always be careful when you're doing this with a partner. Always have somebody wear some kind of eye protection, because if you're doing this sort of thing, you want to hit the goggles or the face mask rather than the eyeballs. If he has some skill, even though my initial strategy would have worked against his initial strategy, which is to grab my throat, but I do this, now what's happened is he's connected it to the ground. So now I drop my hands and redirect his pressure downwards. A change. I engage his center, he stops pushing forward, and he starts hanging on my arms, starts defending against my arms. So I let them go. Okay, if I don't do anything, that happens. Hands rise, hands lower. Same basic principle. Hands rise, hands lower, with a slight modification. He attacks. See, I try to make the technique work in spite of the fact that he's making changes. That's not what I want to do. I'm not talking about learning a literal technique. He comes in with a particular energy, I move at right angles to it as long as it's appropriate to do so, and then I want to change. This is why we don't practice technique a lot in Tai Chi. This is why we practice push hands. We want to practice things that are spontaneous and responding to energy and responding to the dynamic rather than responding to a hypothetical technique. Okay. Oh, what would you do if he jabbed you? Well, the answer to that is, well, let's see. Okay. What would you do if he tried to do a double leg takedown? Well, that depends how we tried to do the double leg takedown. That depends how good he is at it. Distracts me high, goes for my legs. No, try to keep your head higher than your feet. Drop your hips down. There you go. Come in with your shoulder, like that. Pull my knees towards you, bend my legs. There you go. And push with your shoulder. There. That uproots me. When you go after somebody's legs, you don't want to go. What you don't want to do if someone is trying to take down your legs is go, oh, and then lean on them. Look up. Down like this. And now I pull his knees in and I toss him backwards. Don't put your head right underneath their armpit, because then they'll likely bring this hand down like that. And then you'll take them down and they'll choke you out. It's really embarrassing when that happens. If he goes for my legs, there, like that. That gets me. Now I sink my hips and I drop my elbows down onto his kidneys, like that after the fact. So ideally, if he goes for the distraction, I engage, and now he tries to go down, I stick to him, then I've got control of his center. But what if his distraction doesn't actually make contact? If he goes up and he changes direction too soon, before I can engage, by the way, your head's too low. Go down like this, come in like this. I engage, he changes direction, I let him. Eyes. He goes to go for my head. I don't care what he's doing next. Good. It's always a good idea to trim your fingernails, file them down, especially the sharp corners, and make sure that your fingertips are clean whenever you're doing any kind of two-person training. Of course, ideally what I want to do is intercept the intent. Okay, I do that. Now, he's not thinking so much about the double leg takedown. Okay, he was going to fake high and then go low. Now if you continue, you're going to impale your eyes on my fingers. Okay, so you go high, and my strategy has changed. I don't go after the car, I go after the driver. There. And this changes everything. And this is where you get the stupid master tricks or the demos that look fake. Actually do a double takedown. Granted, he is not a master of the takedown. This is not something we do a lot in our Tai Chi classes. As he comes in to do an actual double takedown, I am able to follow his intent and then relax. So it's the ability to change direction and to feel where his tension is and to redirect it. Whew. I just increased the distance between him and me. What I want to do ideally is start by winning. A lot of the other stuff, a lot of the technique is learning what to do when you're losing. He grabs my wrists from behind, from here, hands rise, hands lower. Tai Chi tends not to like to go to the ground, and that's because a lot of us are old. It doesn't mean the other techniques aren't great, it's just that we're not great at them, so we don't do them. So we don't take them down, we send them down. And a lot of traditional classical grappling does this, but a lot of grapplers will come down and they'll put their front knee on the floor. The knee goes, bend my knees, lift me up a little, there, and now roll onto your knee. When you do that, you don't want to end up between my legs. The left foot, the front knee onto the ground. Good, that drives me backwards. Now the left foot steps around. There, and now you can lean sideways on me. There, and that takes me down this way. Pull my head down, that's it, and then release. And like this, I'll pull a head down, and that'll get you uprooted. Here, I'll go into your back foot, and then bounce you up. And then people will tend to grapple, try to get in, get their center of gravity close to you, and get control. What we want to do is keep this space. So as you go in to grab, I try to maintain this space, and I try to use as much technique as possible out here. So the strategy is a little different. If you go high, I intercept, now you go low, right? You're not going to get very far. But if you can be in close enough already and you intercept, you go high, there, now you go low, now you're ahead of the game, you're following me. And if you're following me, then I lose. There you go. Yeah. Wham. But if you do that again and I follow you, you don't get to go anywhere. You don't get to do anything, because everything you do, I'm just on top of it. I'm riding it like a stink on a pig. there's a whole lot of waiting going on, and then whoever moves loses. Okay? So it's the first person to move and the last person to change. So if I don't move, he doesn't move. But if I move, he moves first. So he wins. I'm committed to an idea, and he responds to that idea. I'm still doing that. He has changed what is happening. I have not changed yet. So he is the last person to change. He's winning. Thank you. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Really? Okay, we'll give it a shot anyway. Okay, so any questions? Do you have any questions? No? Okay. Thank you very much. Very good. More practice. Thank you.